All right. So, sorry for tonight. You won't be able to see my face for some technical reasons. So, I'm sorry for that. But let's just move on. So, please, someone should just help me drop on the group page that we've started. But let me see if I can quickly do that. Okay, I'm doing that already. Let me just do that. Let me just do that. Let me just do that. Um, okay. So, yes, I've drawn that already. I've dropped that already. So let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, very quickly, I'm going to complete what I started on that's on when I mean we couldn't finish it because of time. I didn't want to take us I didn't want to take our time beyond necessary. So that's why I had to end on time, or let me say that time on Thursday. So I'll just move very quickly. Yes. So I stopped at getting, picking a project topic. And I believe for those of us who missed the session, I believe we went to check out the video on YouTube because I remember dropping the link. Yes, I remember dropping the link. So yeah, that's something I believe we should do for as many of us who missed it, so that we could catch up. But nonetheless, the link is still there. It's very active, so you could check that out. You know, yes. So now back to today. So the last thing I didn't talk about was or let me say the few things I didn't talk about in that sense were the last three things, and I'll just rush through them so that we could move ahead very quickly. Which is really checking the library or previous works. I'm going to talk about that later today in terms of the things I'm going to be talking about when I'm talking about getting ideas for your research. So I'll just glide over that for now. Relevance in terms of current research focus across the globe. I think I mentioned that already. Praying and receiving divine inspiration. I can't overstate this because I tell you, there's the aspect of the divine in everything that we do. And if you are a believer like me, you would want to get God involved in everything you're doing. You want to get God involved in your work. You want to get God involved in your project, per se, because God is interested in every aspect of your life. God is interested in every area of your life, and that includes your project. All right. So please, as you're following, just let me know in the chat. That would be a means of, encouragement to let me know that you're there with me. Hey, sorry, you're not supposed to be saying that. Okay. Okay, we're good. Sorry for all that happened. Yeah, you're not supposed to see that. Okay, so let me just move on. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is actually on crafting a good proposal. Crafting a good proposal. And geez, my stuff is freezing right now. This is weird. Okay, yep. So I'm back. Yes, so I was going to talk about crafting a proposal, and I think I actually did talk about it maybe in bits that night. I think I did. That was I was talking about the um why and how. Yes, I remember talking about that. And so I talked about the what very clearly that night. I remember that very clearly. Talking about the what. You can catch that in the video. Let's move to the why. So what is why? Now, I remember saying that, the what, when you're dealing with the what, you talk about telling us exactly what your research is about. Now, why? Why is, sorry, a minute. Now, why is basically telling us, okay, why should we accept your research? Why is what you're doing? Why does it make sense? Why do you think we should accept it? Why should we sanction it? Why should we allow it, to pass? Okay. Why should I, to your supervisor, that would be why should I allow you to do this kind of thing? Why should I approve this topic? All right. And there are three things under that: justification of the study, significance of the study, and contribution to knowledge. Now, remember I said on Thursday that research is trying to answer a question, right? Research is trying to solve academic or social. So justification of study is basically saying, okay, this is why this study makes sense. This is why I believe this work is valid. I'm going to try to open I'm going to see if I can get my thesis, maybe either my master's or my graduate thesis or my undergraduate thesis. I'm going to try and see if I can show you I'm not sure I have my proposal. I'm not sure I have my proposal here, but I will see if I can open my thesis itself, and then I will show us from there what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, I'll move on. Just going to show a study. So that's basically like, what are the things that will make us believe that this thing is worth it? It's what I'm looking into. Okay. Then you have something like significance of study. Significance of study is basically of what essence is this thing, if you're talking about the academic world, or what essence is it to us? For example, as a linguist, of what essence is this language? Why are you studying this language? This study you are doing on this language, what's the essence? What's the significance? I mean, what does it add to us? Okay, and that moves into the contribution to knowledge. Contribution to knowledge. You remember that I talked about research being within a particular. Someone is not muted, so please. Okay, thank you. Being within a particular framework, being within a particular domain. So within your domain, so for example, I was using Fenchulua as an example that day, saying that if Fenchulua was looking at addiction to social media and how that contributes to drug abuse, okay, or substance abuse, of what essence is that to the academic world? Of what essence is that to what would that contribute to us? Okay, what would we know better? What would we understand better by joining? By being a part of this in this. What would we learn? Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, I think I can see it already. So I would share it with us shortly. I'll share with us shortly. Okay. I'll share with us shortly. Yes, this is it. Okay, I'll share with us shortly. Yeah, so that's contribution to knowledge. So there's that body of knowledge we are dealing with as academics, as what we are trying to learn. So what does this work? What would it teach us? And that's one thing that your proposal will capture. That's why the why is very essential. All right. Then we move to the how. Okay. The how deals with two aspects: your research methodology and your theoretical framework. Your research methodology and your theoretical framework. What is methodology? I'm going to be talking about methodology, I think, later today. But methodology is simply method. How do you want to get it done? Okay, this work you're talking about. How do you want to study the effect of? So I'm going to be talking about these hypothetical research project, or if you have a research idea, you can just drop it in the chat, and then we'll see how we can talk about it. And if you're lucky enough, maybe that would be a way of you getting getting ideas for your work. You can be that lucky. Anyways, so let's move on from there. Okay, yeah, dissertation draft, Anyway, so let's move on from that. All right. So theoretical framework. I'm still going to be talking about theoretical framework later tonight because it's part of the things I was supposed to talk about yesterday, but we didn't talk about it. So we'll move into that shortly, and when we get there, we'll look into that very, in a very detailed manner, and then we'll talk about theoretical framework. So I'll just rush from there. Doing good literature review. All right. Okay, don't worry. I'll talk about literature review shortly. Literature review is part of the thing for tomorrow. So, based on that, yeah, let me talk about this light. Light. What do I mean by light? What I mean by light is that, see, you have to, I'm someone that believes a lot in God helping you for your academics. And I tell you that you can't displace that place of light, okay, in terms of the supernatural aspect of that. And also, as it pertains to your work, there's that understanding you need to have internally, okay, that would help you, okay, that would direct your work, so to speak. Okay, it's all right. All right, that will direct your work, and it's very important. And so, because of that, at the end of today, I'll be giving you all a gift from my hand that would serve as a guide in that sense to your work. But because of the timing, I don't want to spend too much time today, so I'll move straight up to the ones we were supposed to do yesterday and today. We couldn't do stuff yesterday, and then I'll move through that. I'll run through it, and then today also within the remaining one and maybe let's say 1.5 hours that we have to spend together tonight. All right. So let me just change the slide I'm working on so that we could do that. Okay. Okay. So yeah. I don't know. You're supposed to be seeing these already. So let me know what you're seeing on your screen. You're supposed to be seeing day 2 already. Oh, okay. Yes, you're supposed to be seeing that already. Yes. So yeah, we're back to day 2. So we'll just move on very quickly. Yesterday we were supposed to talk about understanding the structure of your project, understanding that. how to get relevant materials for your research, doing a literature review, talk about research design, research methodology, theoretical frameworks, and all those things, and then how to get data for your work. And that's where I'm going to start up this evening as I was supposed to do yesterday. So let's move very quickly. All right. So what's the structure of your project? Please let me know if you're following me. Just a bit of okay, yes, here and there on the chat would be very helpful so that I can know that you're with me. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, so now there's something I didn't put here, but this would give you a guide on the outline of your project. There's something we call the preliminary pages and the body of the work. All right, preliminary pages would involve things like your that's the front page, the abstract, if you have a table of content, introduction, the dedication, your acknowledgement, table of figures, and all those things. Anything that is not the body of the work, certification, blah, 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 whatever. Anything that is not part of the body of the work that comes before the body of the work. The body of the work is from your chapter 1 to the last chapter. Every of those things are called preliminary pages. Okay? All of these things are called preliminary pages. And that's one part of it. Then the other part is the body of the work. And that's what I talk about here under chapterization. Okay? I talk about here under chapterization. Which is this. All right, so chapterization. Now, there are minimum of 4 chapters. All right, there are minimum of minimum of 4 chapters that a project would have. Okay, minimum of 4 chapters. And for an undergraduate project, actually, you shouldn't have more than 5 chapters. All right, and that's why I have 5 chapters here. All right, and then if you look at it, the first chapter, okay, is your chapter 1. The 5 chapters, you have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. The first chapter is where you talk about the introduction. That's what I said, a robust introduction and background to your research. Okay. Now I'm going to open a document. I'm going to share a document with us. Okay. Final. Yes. So I'm going to share a document with us right now. It's part of the gift I'm going to be giving to us. Okay. I'm going to be sharing this document with us. Okay, this is my undergraduate project. So I'm going to be sharing this screen with us all right now. So, good. Now I believe you all can see this. Let me zoom in. So this is my project work. Okay, this is just the body of the work. Okay, please let me know if you are still with me. Can you see what I'm doing here? Please let me know. Let me know if you are seeing what I'm sharing with you. I know you're supposed to be seeing that, but please, if you're here, let me know if you are seeing that. Let me know if you are seeing that, please. I'm not getting any response. Okay, admirable.
Yes, you can see it, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so now, chapter 1, introduction. And I'm going to be talking to it from my work. I'm going to be sending this to us, so it's going to explain what I'm saying, but I'm going to rush through it. Now, if you look at my introduction here, here I'm talking about what tone is, white tone, and all those things. Okay. Now, here, if you look at this paragraph, I've talked about the concept of tone and tone in African language. I'm a linguist, sorry, let me restate that. Here, I've talked about what a tone language is, right? Here, I gave a brief introduction about the language. Here I've summarized the work. Here. Now, look at this. This is a summary of what this chapter is talking about. In this chapter, I give a brief information about the people of Abuloma, Obulom, their language, linguistic situation of the community, the aim and objectives of the study, the significance of the study. And I did a bit of literature review in my chapter 1. Okay? Even though it's meant for chapter 2. But in this case, based on the pattern I followed then, I did a bit of literature review in chapter 1. All right? And sometimes it is allowed. All right? So now, this is what chapter 1 is all about, basically. A robust introduction and research background. I will involve things like about the community. If you are studying a community, I'm speaking from a linguist perspective. So you might hear me talk about communities a lot because we work with people community, we work with people groups. All right. So if you look at now, everything that is sufficient to give an introduction to your work is what fits into chapter 1 because it's an introductory chapter. So if you look at this here, I was talking about the Abuloma community and the people. Talk about their history, their culture, where they are found. Okay, just to give a background about the people. Now here I'm talking about the language itself, linguistic situation of the community and the people. That tells you about what we are here to do in this work. Genetic classification, sorry, it's all linguist stuff. So this is all just giving a background. Okay. Now then I move to aim and objective. Remember I said on Thursday you can only have, and that's like the overall thing you want your work to be focused on. So I was saying this research seeks to document and provide an analysis of the tonal system of Obulom using the auto-segmental model of phonology, which puts tones independently of segments in order to show how they operate differently from segments. Based on this, the following are the objective of the study. Now, remember I said the aim is to document and provide the analysis of the tonal system of Obulom using the auto-segmental model, right? That's the aim. That's what I'm trying to do. In this work, the summary is that I want to analyze the tone system. Okay. Now, the objective, to document the tone system and tonal behavior of Obulom. Number 2, in achieving the documentation, to carry out an in-depth acoustic analysis. Okay. Sorry if you don't understand. This is a linguistic jargon. So if it's a bit too advanced, even though, now let me give this spoiler that if I was to do this project work now, my aim would not be like that. I would rewrite it better. And I think I have access to my master's thesis here. So let me show you my master's thesis. And you see that what I have there is way different. Okay. Now, this is my, let me just use this. This is my chapter 1. Okay. Can I zoom in? No, I don't want to zoom in this. So I believe you can just see this the way it is. Okay, yeah. So here you are seeing things like about Ondo people. I mean, this chapter, I'm going to talk about this later on. I hope I remember. Please remind me that towards the end I said I won't talk about flowery writing and being straightforward. Okay, please remind me. Talk about the people here, giving the map, the action of Ondo dialect. Let me move to my aim and objective. Let me find that very quickly. Yes, statement of the problem. Yes. So if you remember, I talked about statement of the problem on Thursday. Okay. I spoke about statement of the problem. Now, if you look at this, okay. If you look at this, now let me read this out to us to describe statement of the problem. It said, Adetubo's description of the Yoruba dialects gives a preliminary insight into the grammatical functions of tone in Yoruba, especially the central and southeastern Yoruba dialects. A close look at his discussion on certain aspects of the grammar of the southern Yoruba dialect, especially in the and negation, suggests an interplay between phonology and morphology or syntax. Nevertheless, while Adetugbo's work gives an overview of the grammar of Yoruba language and its dialects, it does little to discuss the intricacies of the dialect, especially the grammatical functions of tone in the Ondo dialect. So I've highlighted the problem. After that, this person has done this, but this is a gap. So my statement of the problem, I've highlighted the research gap. All right. This, therefore, now I've given an academic problem. This, therefore, creates the need to re-examine the relationship of phonology and grammar. In this case, syntax and morphology, particularly the possible grammatical functions of tone in the Ondo dialect of Yoruba. This work, therefore, seeks to examine the grammatical functions of tone in the dialect of Yoruba, particularly in the realization of negation, in bearing in mind the existing contributions to the subject, especially those of Adesugbo 1967 and Akinola 2014. Now, what I just did is that I think is what they've said before. Okay? But the problem is that this person did not do this. That's what moves to the research gap. In spite of the existing discussions on tone in Yoruba, especially the Ondo dialect, not much attention has been paid to the interaction of tone with syntactic processes in Ondo dialect. Also, there has been discussion on tones in Yoruba dialect. But these are focused on negation and interrogative expressions. So I'm talking about what has been done to highlight the gap, and that's how research gap works. More specifically, existing discussions on both the phonology and syntactic structure of Ondo have not discussed the occurrence of tones and the operations in the dialect. This study therefore goes further to explore the occurrence and use of tone in marking negation in Yoruba using the Ondo dialect as the case study. So that the research gap and statement of the problem are very connected, right? I'm saying that this is what has been done before, and this is what we are trying to do. Okay, and that is basically how we work. You're looking at what has been done before, all right, and then you are saying this is what has been, what we've not yet done. Okay, and that's how it works. Sorry, give me a minute. I'm trying to search for something here. Okay. Sorry, with us, I just need to search for this. Sorry, I'm still with us. Okay. Yeah, me here. Yeah. So I was talking about research gap statement of the problem, and I've shown you how connected they are. All right. Now you see the research gap. One thing I did in research gap is that I spoke about what has been done before. Okay, connecting that to what needs to be done now. All right. Then I talked about my research objective. So this was what I was trying to show us. Okay. Then the aim and objective. So this is not the final draft of my project. Okay. I've made alterations to the final work because after corrections and all of those things, So this is just a draft of it while I was working then that I still have in my online storage, and I feel it's a good one for tonight. So that, but don't worry, you have my undergraduate project, so that one is not a problem. You have it, and then you can look at it. At least that would work fine for the level at which we are working now. All right. So if you look at the objectives here, I said this study seeks to examine the phonology of Ondo dialect of Yoruba, to examine the function of tone in the realization of negation and the marking of tense and aspect. Right. So let me restate that. To examine the phonology of Ondo dialect of Yoruba, to examine the function. Okay, this is, I'm sure I've changed this in the final work because these are two things. To examine the function of tone in realization of negation and marking of tense and aspects. Okay. So this is the aim, to examine the function of tone in relation of negation and tense and aspect. That's what I'm out to do. However, my aim has to now be split into objective. How do I want to do this? Aim of the study. This study has the following objectives. Number one, identify the function of tone in marking negation in the dialect of Yoruba. You see that it's connected to that aim. How does tone function in realizing negation? Two, identify the peculiar features of negation as phonological process in Ondo. This is I've changed it, so don't worry. Then number three, identify how Ondo differs from standard Yoruba in marking of negation. That's the objective. Okay. Research questions. Now, one thing about research question is, I said it already, that research question is simply your objective converted to questions. So if you look at this, how does tone function in marking negation in dialect of Yoruba? You see this? It's connected to one. What are the peculiar features of negation as a phonological process in Ondo? You see this? How does Ondo differ from standard Yoruba in realization of 1 and 2 above? You see? Very connected to the objective. So you see the signals of study now. Back to the proposal. And let me just say about proposal. Proposal is just a very simple statement of all these things. Just so that the person that is supervising can have an idea. Significance of study is where I put my contribution to the study also. This study is significant because it contributes to the existing. So I won't bore us with all of this. This is just to give us an example, all right? So that we can be familiar with what I'm saying, okay? So let me go back to my slide. Let me go back to my slide. Yes. All right. So let me go back to my slide. Okay. So I've talked about chapter 1. Chapter 2 is your literature review. I'll talk about doing a good literature review later today, and I will just keep that. Chapter 2 is talk about your theoretical framework there also. Literature review and theoretical framework. Then chapter 3 is your methodology. I'll talk about methodology, which is basically how the step-by-step of your data, of your research work. Let me see if I can show you my chapter 3 here. Let me see if I can show you my chapter 3 here. Yes. So I will show you my chapter 3 now of my own my master's project, and then you'll see how it goes. All right. Okay, so this is it. There you have it. So this is my chapter 3, my methodology, right? Admirable. Let me know if you're still with me. I think you're the only one here. So yeah, but let's move on nonetheless. Okay. So now if you look at this, you see that I talked about the research design. I won't have time to talk about research design here right now. I'll see if I can do that later on. Research design, talking about the data collection and information. So how did I get my data? what kind of people, you see things here, you see here, I'm talking about what kind of data I got, where I got it, um, why I chose it, okay, the duration, quantity of data I got. For me, that's important. And the total duration of the time. I talked about how I gathered it, from who I gathered it, why I chose the kind of person, information about the person. During my final work, this didn't show because I had to remove it for anonymity. There's something called research ethics. I'll probably share that. If I can't share it now, fine. Then I talk about how I um preserved my data and did the sorting and all those things. How I started doing all of this. How I analyze the data is also here. You know, the instrument of data collection analysis, all the instruments I use. And when you're talking about instrument of data collection analysis now, you're talking about every tool you used. So if you used a computer as part of your tools, if you used a questionnaire, all those things, it's part of it. And those are instruments of data analysis and tools. So you have to state all those things, talking about that data. Let me read this part. The data from this study, for this study, were obtained in field by the researcher using a Zoom 8784N digital audio recorder, an AKG C417 PP, C417 professional lavalier microphone with a standard XLR connector, which was connected to the Zoom recorder. Talking about Rimo headphone that I will use for audio monitoring. Every of these things have to be inside because I used them, right? Use language documentation notebook by Ryan Pennington for collecting metadata, while a spiral-bound notebook was used for making notes. Talk about questionnaire and informed consent was used, okay? Talk every step. So that's why the easiest part of your project to write is your chapter 3, because that's your methodology. Everything you are doing, basically, pencil and pen were used in making note and transcription. At the end of this recording session, I copied the files into an HPMT41, right? I logged them into Seymour. What is Seymour? I talked about it. So basically, my chapter 3 is step by step. So that's the easiest part to write. And that's more or less like the first chapter of your work that you can write, because it's just basically how you did it. Are you getting me? That's methodology. So I'm going to move that away now. And then we continue with my slide. All right. Then chapter 3, methodology. So I've spoken about that. Chapter 4, data analysis and discussion. Now, I can't say how this works in your in your department, because we have different fields. So whatever it is that occurs that works in your own field, let that work. Chapter 5, summary and conclusions. Some departments, I know some departments have they do chapter 4 data presentation, chapter 5 discussion, then chapter 6 summary and conclusion recommendations. I know in my department, some people have 6 chapters depending on the level of work they are doing. Okay. Now, these things are not rigid, but 1 to 3 are sometimes almost always rigid, because I know in my department there are people that did their literature review in chapter 1. Okay. Chapter 2 didn't have, maybe chapter 3. Chapter 3 is always constant. Chapter 3 is always methodology everywhere and anywhere. But some of these other things are not always cast in stone. But chapter 1, chapter 3 are cast in stone. The last chapter is cast in stone in that it is always your conclusion and summary. Okay, so I'll move on to my next slide. So how then do you gather relevant research for your material? Material for your research, rather. Sorry, pardon me for the slips. Okay, so you are there. Okay, I'm trying to get good research, get good material for my research work. How do I get good stuff? How do I get good? How do I get good? How do I get the journals that I need and all those things? Well, it's not. It can be very difficult sometimes to get good materials. Sometimes it can be very tough because you have to search and search and search a lot of places. in order to get good research materials. But these are what I would have for you per se. Number one, libraries. Okay, libraries. Take advantage of libraries. Go to school libraries. Your school has a library. Check it out. Check the hard copies of theses, dissertations. People that have done project before you. Check it out. Okay, check out textbooks. Check out whatever publication they have in there. Check it out. Okay, take advantage of that. Let that be something that you would do consistently, because just take advantage of that. Basically, take advantage of that. Then you have online journals. Now there are a few platforms where you can get these things I mean, not for free per se. Let me not say for free, because some of these things are paywalled, right? And I won't here to start telling you how to bypass it. I'm going to be putting this video online, so I don't want to be flagged for that, right? But there are ways to go about this kind of things. All right. But these are places where you could get materials. I mean, free, so to speak. These are places where you could get them. You have academia. There's academia.edu. Let me see if I can hear. Let me see if I can write that. Let me see if I can write that. Let me see if I can write that. Okay, let me see if I can write that. So just watch my screen now. Academia. Okay, this is academia.edu. Okay, that is one. ResearchGate is I think ResearchGate. Sorry. I need to erase that. Yes, let me write that properly. So research. Whew. I mean, but I don't mind me. Okay, yeah. Researchgates.net. And then if you go to scholar.google.com, that's Google Scholar and Semantic Scholar, you find stuff on this site that are quite good for you. Yeah. And then there's also personal communication. What do I mean by personal communication? When you discuss with you, I think I shared my experience on Thursday, how I got to get my project topic for my undergrad, discussing with friends, discussing with people. One of the things I enjoyed while writing my master's project was that I had a senior colleague that was always discuss with me. I'll say, boss, now which are the thing be this, now which are the reason be this, how then say, Emmanuel, hope you are not thinking this thing wrongly. Okay, give me an example, prove it to me that what you're saying is right, because that thing helps a lot. Having someone that shares, is ready to listen to you, is ready to help you with all these things. I mean, maybe a colleague or a senior colleague. In that, I put trusted colleagues, because in this world now, people can run off with your idea. So you have to know who you're going to trust, who you're going to trust with your ideas and all those things. And that will be very helpful. So go through that route. And I tell you, your mind will be open to a lot. Find someone who has done stuff like what you're trying to do. Find someone who has done that. And then, you know, you would please give me a minute, please. I'm trying to send a message to someone. Okay. Happiness Victor, please check your WhatsApp inbox. Thank you. All right. So I'll continue. Okay. So from here, I'll move on to the next slide because of time. I'll move on to the next slide. All right. So yeah, I needed to put this in because it's important. Okay, it's very important that I put this in because I know quite a number of persons have asked that question. So how do I get good research material online? Sorry, once again, happiness Victor, please check your WhatsApp inbox. Thank you. How do I get good materials online? Right? And the first thing I'm going to say here is learn to do good Google search because I tell you, it's very helpful. Right? Google can be very helpful. Google can be very helpful, but you have to learn how to make the right Google search. And how do you do that? You use the right keywords. Okay, use the right keywords. State the exact files you need. So, if, for example, I'm looking for something on, uh, for example, I'm looking on something on drug abuse, have to state, okay, drug abuse in Nigeria courses.pdf. That will know that I'm looking for something that is probably published already and that is in a PDF format. So Google will be able to search and find something because Google is basically a web crawler, a search engine. What it does is that it goes everywhere in the world. I mean, every website in the world and tries to find what you're looking for. If it finds it, it brings it and says, okay, I found this thing, so place, and then it takes you there. That's his job. Not that he has the answers. All right. So state the exact files you need. State specific details like the authors, year of publication, the publisher, and the likes. So if probably you came across the journal or the document or the work somewhere, put it on Google. Say that, okay, I'm looking for something on adolescents menstrual health. Put, maybe you heard that Dr. Ajanle Koko Nkeserobong wrote it, and wrote it with Tunde Obi, and they wrote it in 2029 and was published in the Nigerian Journal of Menstrual Health. Put it on Google. Google will find, it will use those words and find something that is connected to you and should lead you to what you are looking for. All right. And that's one thing that you need to look into. So learn to make Google keywords, be very specific, and allow certain materials to lead you to other related materials. See, I tell you that there are some works, some of my works, I found references by reading another work. So I'm reading this person's work. I saw what this person citing to another person. I go and find that person and I learn more from there. All right. So let me put that there. So that's very vital. Next, doing literature review. Yeah, now we've come to the big boss. Doing literature review. So what is the literature review? Okay. A literature review is the review or examination of similar and existing studies within your domain of research in connection to your current research focus. Let me take that again slowly. It is review, emphasis on review. Okay. Not copy and pasting, or examination of similar. Okay, that's another keyword there. Similar and existing studies within your domain of research, okay, in connection to your current research focus. That is very important. That is very, very important. That is very important. Because what you are doing is reviewing. You are not copy and pasting. You are not trying to say what they've said again. You are reviewing them. You are checking them out, trying to see what they've said in relation to what you are trying to do. All right. Next, it involves diligently reading relevant works. Emphasis on diligently reading. Emphasis on diligently reading. Sorry. Diligently reading. Okay? Diligently reading. And that's very important. You have to do the reading diligently. It's a careful thing, because if you don't read it carefully, you will miss what is being said. Diligently reading relevant works to discover the extent of research and discover knowledge gaps, as well as areas needing extension or elaboration. So basically, by doing literature review, by carefully reading those relevant works, you are seeing what has been done so far. One, you are seeing what is yet to be done, the knowledge gap. That's why in the thesis that I showed you, in my own work that I showed you, you see that I was quoting people that, okay, this person said it, they've done this, they've done that, but they didn't do it. They didn't do this. You get my point? All right. They didn't do that. Okay. Because I was able to see all of that because I read previous works. And then, so that's knowledge gaps. And then areas needing extension or elaboration. Maybe there are things that they've said that if we get more data, we'll probably be able to justify this thing. You know, maybe if we get more data, we can actually prove this thing wrong. Or if we get more data, there are some things they said that they didn't actually see. So more data. Remember I said on Thursday that there's curiosity. So there's something that, could be done better to review previous works. All right. So that's very important. And let me add this, that see, we are not too young or you are not too early to do quality work, even with your undergraduate work. Okay, let me just put that there because of time. Also, it points your attention to possible methods. So you see that you can learn about methodology and theory that you can use for your work, the benefits of those methods and theories, and their weaknesses. So you see why it's good to read previous works. And that's why project work begins from reading. If you're going to be very sincere, project work begins from reading. You have to read. You read and you keep reading. Now, lastly, on that, note that not everything discussed in previous studies are reliable. So you can't take them hook, line, and sinker. That's why you have to think about what you are reading. Okay? You have to think about what you are reading. Because I don't know if I can find let me see if I can find one of my works. Let's see if I can find one of my works from school. I'll show you something. Yes, I've seen it. Focus construction in Ondo. I will show you something that I did. Okay? I'll show you something that I did there. It's a paper I wrote with my colleagues in class, and I'll show you something that I did. Let me see if I can. Okay. Okay, so let me let me put this up here so you can see this. Let me do 125, and that is fine. Okay, yeah. So look at this. Look at this phrase. Look at this phrase. Now, look at this. I said, understood that discuss focus construction in Ondo is akin to 2020, where it makes a comparison between Yoruba and Igede language using dialect. Actually, examine and do dialect. Okay, let me just move very quickly. Now, I said, like Akitoye and Owe, these works are descriptive. And then I said, analysis for Ondo dialect. And I said, why we agree with Akitoye and Owe to an extent on their submissions about focusing on Ondo, particularly on the presence of consonant and sentence focusing on Ondo, we do not, however, agree with their overall conclusion on the subject. A close look at the data presented in their study reveals that not only did their work give a brief overview of subject matter in the language, there appears to exist a focus marking system that is different from what was reported in their study. A system more familiar to that of Owo, as described by Oshoji 2016. Hence, the need to revisit the subject of focus on Ondo. Now, in my seminar paper presentation, where I presented something similar to this, I clearly said that they are wrong. All right? I boldly said it in front of people that these people, they are wrong. So you can't take it hook, line, and sinker. All right? So you have to think about what you are reading. Okay? You have to think about it, process it, and make your notes. Okay? And that leads to the next slide. So there are 3 processes that I have for doing a good literature review. Number 1, start wide, finish narrow. I will explain this later on. Begin with general studies in that domain, then narrow it down to those that relate specifically to your topic. Number 3, review, don't just paraphrase and summarize. We want to know what you think about those studies too. I said that before. Number 3, find a way to relate those studies to your own work. Ensure that you highlight the parts of that work that relates to yours. Let me show you an example from my thesis that I showed you earlier. Let me show you. Moving to, let me show you from my literature review. Let me show you from my literature review. Yes. All right, so take a look at this. Take a look at this. Now, okay, now, I'll give you a background to this. I already said Ondo dialect is part of Southeastern Yoruba dialect, and I'm saying this guy has said this about Southeastern Yoruba dialect, so I'm relating it to my own work. All right, I'm now saying prosodic negation, which is something that relates to my work. I'm saying, well, for SCY dialect, of which Ondo is a member, it states a particular pattern. That is connecting what was said before to my work. So I'm not just restating what he has said, but I'm not saying this is what he said concerning my work. Okay? So I'm saying, I'm picking what he has said and connecting it to my work. This is somebody else. Now I'm saying Adesrinyan study is quite important for our inquiry because it is the first study known to us to have made definition about. He's giving me a benchmark. Questions about the items or factors are actually markers of processes. I'm not saying, so you see that I'm relating it to my own work. Okay. Now, this study here, John Golo and Taiwo, is studying another dialect entirely, but it's closer. That's what I'm saying. One of the SCY dialect that shares similar features with the Ondo dialect. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but it's something similar. So I'm referencing it here too. Okay. So I'm saying this description proves further existence of tone in Yoruba and its dialect, but it falls short here, blah, 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 blah. So I'm linking all of them to my work. Okay? I'm linking all of them, and that's a good thing to do when you do your literature review. So link them, find a way to link them to your current work. All right? Next. Yeah, this is my funnel strategy. I call it my funnel strategy to literature reviews. General discussion on the subject matter. So, for example, Feyintioluwa, like I said on Thursday, is assuming doing something on addiction to social media and increase in drug abuse. Okay, so you have to look at things on social media addiction, social media generally, what they've said about drug abuse and all those things. Then by the time she begins to narrow down, begins to look at, because she's looking at Nigeria, now begins to look into things on social media addiction and their connection to maybe other health related issues. things that cause drug abuse in Nigeria. Social media addiction in Nigeria. All right. Then she now narrows down, which is on this third one. Okay. Now narrows down to studies on the subject matter itself. So are there words that have discussed social media addiction and drug abuse? All right. That's how you narrow down that kind of thing. Okay. So that's my funnel strategy. Because of time, I can't talk about it that much tonight because I'm trying not to keep us beyond time. Okay. So that's studies on the subject matter itself. Okay. Then next, research design methodology and theoretical framework. I'm just going to run through this because I feel I'm running out of time already. Research design is the overall structure of your study itself. I showed you. It is out things like the scope of your research, the kind of data you obtain, and how you eventually conduct your analysis. What is methodology? Methodology is the systematic procedure through which you conduct your research. I've explained that already, including things like pre-research activities, data collection, data analysis, and all those things. And it gives your work credibility and ensures that other persons can replicate your research and get the same result. What is a theoretical framework? A theory is an intellectual and an academic approach to viewing a particular phenomenon. So a theory is, let's say, how people within a domain have viewed a particular concept over time. Okay, they feel okay. This is how we should analyze this. This is how we should describe this and all those things. That's a theory, and it is agreed upon by consensus and backed by data. Okay, and I believe in every theory, okay, based on whatever they want to analyze or whatever they are looking at. So it is agreed upon by consensus and backed by data. So how then do you get your data? Now, sorry for that. What happened to my mic? Number one, ensure you read the existing works in your field. You cannot do without that. Okay, look at what has been going on in your field. Look at what has been going on in your field. Check that out. By the time you read the existing works, you find data. If I can find some data that will be useful for you. And I said, be careful to avoid introspection and falsified data. What is introspection? Introspection is basically taking data from yourself. Introspection is basically taking data from yourself. So maybe, for example, you think you know about that phenomenon, and then you start taking data from yourself and start supplying the answer. You say, I think it should go like this. Is this way? Is that way? Baba, that is wrong academically. And then don't do falsified data. So people that go to fill questionnaire and then they now say, Ejoba me feel likini. You now start filling some yourself because you feel you need 200 responses and you only have like 150. Now give your friends, feel like 3, feel like 4. Just pick different options. That is falsified data. Your research work can never be accurate that way. Right? So avoid that. And then let your research problem, your aim and objectives guide the kind of data you collect, where and how you get them. I think that's very simple and straightforward. Let your research problem, aim and objective, let them guide you. In fact, it is said that your research question, should be answered your data. So at the end of everything, what we should see is that your conclusion is summarizing your research. Okay, question 1, how does this thing work? This is it. We found it out. How many of these things causes this thing? We found it out. All right. That is how it should be. Okay. I'll move on to the next slide. Okay. So now, I was supposed to give us some tasks yesterday and yesterday and 2 days ago, but I couldn't do that. So I'll show it up now and then I'll copy it to the group chat so that you can all look at it. And what is it? Now, number 1 is that you go and find, I'll just copy it and paste on the group chat this evening. So you go and find a topic idea that you have. All right. And draft up a proposal on it based on what we've said, draft a proposal about it, and then you now identify 5 published works in your field that will be relevant to that topic. Okay, identify and list the kind of data you will need for that work, and then tell us what method or theoretical framework within your field of study that you think will be appropriate for that kind of research. Okay, and I believe you can screenshot this. I will send this to the group chat later on so that we can go through that. All right, and so this is where I will switch to the data for today. I mean I said data, the work for today, so that we can wrap up in time. All right, so give me a minute to stop sharing my screen, and then I will be back shortly. Okay. So if you have questions, you can just start preparing them. I will take a few questions and then I will close this evening. Okay, once we are done. Okay. Okay, you're unable to speak. All right, thank you very much. I know that. I can see that. Thank you. Okay, I will share my screen shortly. Okay. All right, so let's go. Share screen. Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about for today actually I was supposed to talk about navigating supervisor-supervisor relationship, professional citation management, and preparing for seminars and project defense. Then I'll just give us some tips, and then I think I have a special announcement to make. Yes, so I have a special announcement to make, and it is those that pass today that will hear it, and anybody who gets to watch the video. Okay, yeah, basically. So let's start from there. Working with your project supervisor. Now, let me say that number one, your supervisor is meant to be your guide throughout the journey. Okay, your supervisor is not meant to spoon feed you. I know that some supervisors can be wicked, can be distant, can be very. I mean, I'm sure you've heard nasty things about some supervisors, how that they are just out there to frustrate their supervisors and all those things. But I understand all of that. Understand all of that. Understand all of that. But nonetheless, the fact is they are meant to be your guide. They are meant to help you achieve your research goals. Okay. And one of the things you have to do is be very open. Okay. When you don't know, admit that, Oga, I don't know. I need help. Okay. Don't be afraid to, and if your supervisor is proving too difficult, you can change supervisor or carry your supervisor to God and say, God, I need help with this. All right. So you need to do that. Okay, be very open. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, what do you think? Is this okay? Yeah, that's basically one thing I'm going to say here, because I'm not going to deny the fact that some people are just very wicked and difficult to approach and work with, but it's wisdom. Okay, and one of the things you have to do is don't hold them in your heart early, so that you don't put yourself in trouble. Because once you do that, you start operating with them from that perspective, and that would definitely affect you. And you don't want to get affected in that way. Okay? Yeah, and I think that's what I'm just going to say about that. This is not going to be too long a thing, so I'm just going to wrap it up very quickly tonight. Next thing, referencing and citation management. What is referencing? Every research work is supposed to have a reference, right? Like I will show you. I think I showed you my project already. There's a part called reference. Okay, let me show you again. Reference. Now you see references. Okay, you can see references, the list of references. Some people call it bibliography, okay, or works cited. They are basically the works that you read and I can see that you're typing. The works that you read and that gave you information, the works that give you guidance. Every work that you read towards doing your project are supposed to show up in your reference. Okay, that's what you have. Okay, look at all of this. Those are references. Now, what do we mean when we say citation? This is an example of citation. Let me scroll up. Yes, if you look at this, Lewis and Akingbade 2017-2009. That's a citation. It is basically acknowledging a source within the text. Referencing is acknowledging at the end a source or a work where I gained ideas, or the person that said that kind of thing. All right, that's a citation. Now, it is very important because citation and references is what gives your work legibility, what gives it credibility. I wonder, okay, you didn't just because you can't write everything off your head. My supervisor will always say, all wisdom is plagiarism. All true wisdom is plagiarism. Only foolishness is original, and that's true. A wise man is wise because he learned, whatever he knows from somebody else, and whatever is original, that you are the first person saying it is foolishness, is a lie, because you can't be the first person. Solomon was saying that there's nothing new under the sun. And for the Christian Bible, the Bible says that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every matter shall be established. So it means that it is coming from somewhere. Okay? You can't be the first person to have seen it. Even if you are the person to see that thing that you are seeing, there's somebody that has said something that looks like it, or something that is close to it, that you are saying for the first time. Okay, so only foolishness is original. True wisdom is plagiarism. There's somebody you learned from, there's somebody you took from. Okay, and it's essential that you acknowledge them in your work. So how do we do this? I won't go into the nitty-gritty of how to do it, because not for this session. Now, I've put together 3 tools that you can use. Basically 2. Mendeley.com and Zotero. There are softwares you can use to. They have this automatic way of doing that for you in your work. They will manage your referencing and citation for you and all those things. And it's very interesting, I can tell you. Right? You can download them. Go to Mendeley.com or go to zotero.org. Zotero Beep, that's the zbeep.org, is an online tool. Okay, let me show you. Let me just demonstrate this one for you here, because this is something you can quickly get. Okay. Now, look at this. zoterobeep.com. So, for example, I'm working on drug abuse and social media addiction in Nigeria. So I can find a title here. I say, okay, drug abuse in Africa. Maybe I know the title, but I don't know the other details. I search for it, and it searches, you see, understanding sexual abuse in Nigeria. So if maybe this is the work I'm looking for, I select it. It automatically gives me citation. Now, there are different styles. There's something called citation style that we use in academics, and schools have their own. And I'm going to say, find out which one your school uses and follow it as well as possible. They will give you a guideline. But if not, the most common we use in Nigeria is either MLA. We don't use MLA. We use most likely Chicago Manufacture or APA, American Psychological Association. Okay, so I click this. Okay, I will edit them. Okay, so I say, this is the style I want you to use for me. I can find other styles available. Use this for me. This is it. I can copy to clipboard, or download it, as something to edit. I can find another work here. So maybe I'm saying causes of substance abuse in Nigeria. I find it. I mean, if I have the DOI or whatever it is about it. Now I see, maybe this is the work, for example. Okay, this is the work. Okay, it could be a website, it could be a GUI. I'll show you. I will do a website, for example. This is it again. See that he has added it to this thing. Okay, let's say I'm citing this website that I have here. I paste it there. I cite. This is it. It has followed this citation style and put it there. Okay, and then I can now copy everything. I've copied, and I can paste, or I can download it. Okay, or save it to Zotero if I have a Zotero account. I'm talking about Zotero here today because of time. Okay, with that, I have referencing. And let me show you one more thing. I could copy the citation with this copy citation. Okay, you see, I want to add the page number, maybe page 2, maybe 33. Okay, I copy citation. I can paste this. Let me paste this somewhere here. You see, Bodvin 2000, page 33. Okay, that's how those things work. All right. Yeah, that's how far I will go with that. Then let's talk about your presentation and your defense. All right. Now, one thing I would say is that when it comes to your seminar presentation and your defense, what you are there to do is to tell us what you have done. Basically, what they are expecting is that come and show us your work. Okay, and what they are expecting is your data. Okay, basically, what's the problem you are looking for? I mean, what's the problem? What caused what you are doing? How did you solve it? Basically, what's the proof of it? So basically, your seminar presentation or your project defense is basically talk about the problem statement, aim and objective, talk about maybe slightly the methodology, and go straight to the data. Okay, we found this and this and this. This and this shows this and that, and conclude. All right, and that's one thing that is very straightforward about project defense, and it can be two things. For a seminar defense, you might need something like what was it now? You might need a PowerPoint presentation, right? Your PowerPoint presentation should cover the same thing too. It's not supposed to be too much. Focus on your data. Tell us what is relevant, basically. What is relevant? Relevant. What is relevant? That's what we want to know and what we need to know. All right. That's what you should know in that regard. Okay. I'll move away from there because it's just going to be a short introductory conversation. And yeah, final tips. So I said I was going to talk about flowery words. Yes. Now, one thing about academic writing is very straightforward, straight to the point. There's no merry-go-rounding in academic work, in academic research. If we're going to be very sincere, academic papers and all these things, there's no merry-go-rounding. Go straight to the point. Don't come and tell us that Biodun left home in the morning and now went to Kinikon. He now went to Ojo Market. From Ojo Market, he took a keke, but realized that the keke was not going to Bodija. From Bodija, on the way to Akwete, now stopped. Now took another bike, went back to Songo. From there, now waited for 50 minutes. They are trying to tell us that Biodun took a bus to Lagos. From Lagos, took a flight to Abuja. All this merry-go-round is not necessary. Go straight to the point. We need what is. That's why if you look at that my work that I showed you, let me just show it one more time so that you see. Okay. From the start of, I mean, you don't do too much talk. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say here. You go straight to the point. I'm trying to figure out my work so that I can show it to you here. Okay, so now this my chapter 4. Negation in Ondo. Negative markers. You see how I started? Especially your chapter 4, where is you talking about your work, what you have analyzed and you have found. Go straight to the point. You see 2 distinct negative markers. Ma and low window are using marking negation in Ondo. Ma is used in imperative construction, while white tones are used in other instance of negation with silent particles, depending on the nature of sentence. Straight to the point. No merry-go-rounding. I had to learn it too because I was taught. All right, see, 46 to 48 above, tones are used to mark negation. Low tone was used in 46 to mark negation in non-future tense and inferior tense for 7. Straight to the point. Very straightforward. No flowery words. Am I still flowery? Yes, I still am. I'm still adjusting. But I'm going to be very sincere. I'm still adjusting. Okay? But you can learn it. I can tell you that. You can learn it. Okay? You can learn it. That's number 1. And number 2, you give your work to an editor. Ensure that you've done something solid yourself. Simple things as formatting. Hey, I was supposed to teach you. I'm supposed to talk about chapterization, but I mean, there's no chance for that now. All right. Ensure that you do your own. I mean, make it easy for the editor. If you're going to send your work to an editor, I'm not saying don't send your work to an editor. Even though personally, I tend to do it myself because I'm a proofreader and an editor. So I read my work, read and edit, read and edit, and edit. If I find a mistake with it, I'll read and edit again. Right, but it's good to have an external person look at your work for you. But you don't have to be the only person to be reading your work and be swearing for you in his mind. Like, what kind of person? Solo do lenini. Sorry, I don't know if you understand your Bible. It's basically like, is this person an illiterate? Don't you have sense? That kind of thing. You don't want that kind of reaction. All right. And those are the 2 things that I don't know if you have questions for me, but I know if there are questions. I don't know if you have questions for me. I think that's much of it tonight. I don't know if you have questions for me so that we can wrap up and close for tonight. I don't know if you are still there. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm with you. What's your question? So do you have a question? Maybe there's something I wasn't able to address, and you think I could have addressed it, and you want to ask questions about it. Okay, okay. Oh, well, you can type it. You can type it. I don't know why you can't speak. Okay, let me check that out. A question. Okay, you said regarding sourcing of materials to work on a project. There are times you want to download paper online. Yes. So papers that are paywalled, how do you go about it? This is not a response I can give on the mic. So chat me up on WhatsApp and I will tell you. Okay, chat me up on WhatsApp. Let me not put that in the video. Okay, chat me up on WhatsApp and I'll tell you, or I can put it up on the group page, for everyone to see. Okay, so yeah, let me have the second one. But I get what you're saying. I clearly mentioned that I will deal with that. I'm still expecting the next question. Okay. So this is a very technical and should I say very dicey thing. Okay, I think I know your supervisor already. I think I know your supervisor already, even though I'm not sure if I have seen you in person before. Maybe, I mean, I don't know because I don't have your name here, so I may not be able to know where exactly this is. But now this is how it works. You don't want to risk it. If I'm going to be very sincere, you don't want to risk it. Why did I say that? Now you have the fact that it is that your supervisor that will grade you. Okay, it's that supervisor that will grade you. So, for those of those who will be watching this video, the question is basically that I'm in my final at the University of Ibadan. I have interest in forensic linguistics. My supervisor is most times unavailable. Do I have, though I've been doing some mini research, but I don't have a topic yet. Do you think I can continue working on my interest? My supervisor is available. What I would recommend is keep reading. Yeah, number one, don't stop. Keep reading. Keep making your findings. Okay. But if it's that kind of person that I know that you're dealing with, if care is not taken, most likely he will want to give you a topic himself. Okay. But don't let that stop you. Keep reading, keep working, keep writing if possible. Keep doing that until he shows up. If he now says, well, do it this way. One thing I know about him is that if he's going to uh, give you a topic. One thing is sure, he will give you time. I can guarantee that. I can guarantee that 100%. He will give you time. Yeah, he will give you time. He will give you time, seriously. Okay, so that's one. But keep reading, keep working, keep taking your notes, keep making your own notes and all those things, you know. And when he shows up, at least it won't be like you didn't have something doing. Get my point? It will be that you had something doing, but it was just him that was delaying. So I think that's how you have to. And for those people who might have funny supervisors, okay, that's one thing you keep doing, to keep working. Did they tell you to bring it? Go and meet them. I say, okay, oh, this is it. Oh, we've done this so far. We've done that so far. And I believe that would save you a lot of stress. But I can relate. I know what exactly you're talking about. That person that you're talking about. I know the man. Okay. But I tell you, it is wisdom. Don't wait, because when he comes around, he will rush you. Okay. But keep being around him, keep being around his doorstep, keep going around to say, this thing, oh boss, you're my supervisor and all those things. And before you know it, we get somewhere. All right. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you everyone for joining. So, like I said, I have a very important announcement. A very important announcement for those who cared to be here. All right. I have a very important announcement. And what's the announcement? Ta-da! So, I'm doing something this next year, which is that I'm going to be opening up myself to coach 25 persons. Emphasis on 25, just 25 persons. Writing their project. Okay? On writing their project, just 25% from the beginning of the process to the end. Okay? To the end. So that is what I'm going to be doing. So it's a 6 months intensive coaching. For now, this is strictly, to be very candid, this is strictly for penultimate and final year students. Okay, so any PG student that applies will not be taken, and any person that is at the tail end of their program will not be taken also, because they have to be available within those 6 months. Okay. You know, yeah. So, but terms and conditions applied. Applying does not mean you will get in. Let me be very candid with this. This one that we did, everyone that applied got emails, but not everybody checked their email. This is very interesting, right? But good for them, because that's not my problem, because I so let me just say this. I would say this off the recording. All right. Yeah. So basically, 25 slots available. Registration ends December 15th, and it's going to be me and a couple of my friends, my colleagues, my senior colleagues that are going to be working together to pull this off. There's going to be a lot of seminar sessions, workshops, group sessions, and all those things. But promise to be, it's very intensive. Like it's there, it's intensive. And if you're not serious about it, please don't join. Please don't join. It's going to take a lot from those persons, right? And may I say that it is very free, but you have to show that you are committed to it. Yes, I'm not going to be taking, or let me say the Talklin team will not be taking a dime from anybody. Is it that we will not have to buy data and all those things? Yes, we would, but we decided to make it free for everybody that attended. So please and please check yourself, take this serious, and start registering as soon as you see the flyer right up on our social media pages. So thank you very much for joining this 3 days workshop, even though it ended up being 2 days on project writing. And I'm glad I believe you've learned something from it. I believe it was valuable to you. So yeah, that's it. So I didn't talk about Talklin NG on day one. Talklin NG is an organization I founded in 2021. It started as a podcast to talk about language and linguistics in Nigeria. And right now, we're not just podcasting alone. Now we talk about, we have a side of us that is out to help undergraduate students, primarily students of linguistics, but also, we do other fields as need be, but our primary target for now are linguists because of what we do. So yeah, so that's what we do at Talklin NG. I have a couple of persons that work with me. I'm privileged to be the founder, but I have other persons that work with me, and we look forward to doing stuff. So you can find us on social media. You can see the our handles there. You can send us emails at talklinpodcast@gmail.com, and social media is at Talklin NG, TALKLINNG, at TALKLINNG. I forgot to mention the podcast, but you could check the podcast out. Just check TALINNG podcast on social media. You find us right there. In fact, if you check our social media handles, you see the link to the podcast, and before you know it, you're right there. You can listen to it. The last episode is a bit maybe earlier in the year, but we're working on other things to get the podcast resumed as soon as possible. But the things that will still bless you and help you. All right. Thank you very much once again. If you have questions about and feedback for the workshop, you could just scan that link, that QR code. They just screenshot it, scan it, and you get access to it. And the link to getting, because there's going to be a certificate, the link to getting your certificate will also be sent to the group chat, so you can you can feel that I get certificate of participation, because this is also something you can add to your CV that okay, I participate. So I was trained on how to write my project. All right. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining in tonight. I'm really glad to have us here. It is a privilege doing this, and I'm glad that at least I called and people responded to this. Thank you very much. See you in our next edition of whatever workshop it is and you're privileged to join in. I remain Emmanuel Adekugbo Adegbuyi. Thank you very much for joining us. God bless you.